Every business operator with the mindset of an architect and a true willingness to serve people aims to build a business that lasts and stands on strong foundations. The excitement of a new idea and the potential for a positive impact on our communities, clients, and people around us fills us with euphoria. The potential for success and the value we will be providing fills us with joy. But beneath the glossy euphoria and the success stories we hear lies a harsh truth. The business operator's journey is an emotional journey. And building a machine to serve our customers, communities, and people around us is an emotional roller coaster. One moment we are riding high on optimism and caffeine, and the next we are staring into an abyss of doubt and burnout. It's a journey of extreme highs and lows that few outsiders truly understand, and only leap of faith can guide us through it. A staggering 72% of business operators report being directly or indirectly affected by mental health issues, with higher rates of depression, ADHD, and anxiety among founders. The business operator path of an executive exacts a psychological toll, which will be hidden behind hustle and bravado. In the beginning, energy and passion come easily. We are fueled by grand vision and endless enthusiasm, believing everything will start working right away. But every metal of high quality is created in fire, and fire is what our businesses should go through in order to succeed. During this period, when novelty fades and reality sets in, many businesses and business operators hit a wall. And don't get me wrong, maybe with the blessing of God we get our clients early on and business starts booming, but that shouldn't be the expectation. The expectation should be a readiness to grind and spend time on developing the machine as it is. Then, during this period, burnout, stress, and emotional exhaustion start creeping in. And nearly half of business owners and operators say they have experienced burnout in just the past month. And the problem is clear. What starts as a labor of love with the expectation that things will work out on their own can quickly turn into an overwhelming grind, especially if you don't have the right mindset and the right foundations. Business operators suffer in silence, feeling ill or confused about losing the spark they once had. And now, let's agitate this even further. Businesses don't die from running out of cash. They die because people stop serving the mission. And the reason people sometimes stop serving the mission is because they don't understand the toll it takes to get the mission to the place it meant to reach. And now let's think about it. Even well-founded ventures collapse if the people at the helm lose their drive, values, and mental well-being. The move fast and break things culture glamorizes relentless hustle, but unchecked hustle leads to broken people. Dr. Matt Shork, a psychologist who studied business burnout and failures, knows that the very first stages of burnout often masquerade as success. The early stage of business is intoxicating, long hours that feel exhilarating, but there is a word most business operators hardly realize. The honeymoon phase can actually be the start of burnout. In other words, the seeds of future exhaustion and failure are planted in those heady early days of euphoria, where we move forward without much thinking and praying. And what is the solution? The good news is that the roller coaster has a track. We need to recognize that every mission we are sent to, every mission we take over, will have three stages. Stage 1, the early stage of euphoria. It's a chaotic, idea-fueled excitement. Then comes stage 2, the mid-stage doldrums, the grind, the thrill fades, and fatigue hits in. And then there comes third stage, which is the latter stage of momentum where systems and strategy create sustainable growth. And in this video, we will dissect each stage, grounding the emotional swings in psychological research, sharing real business stories from people who quietly built 7 to 9 figure companies and not just celebrity CEOs. And we will provide data driven context for what's really going to happen in our businesses in each of these stages. And by understanding those, we will not only realize that we are not alone in our mission, we will gain insight into how to navigate each phase, avoid common pitfalls, and build the resilient mindset as systems needed to reach the next level. As a last note, before we start going through each stages, this video is not to offer a solution for each of these stages, as solutions to those are complex and require skill set which are going to be shared on this channel in upcoming videos, and some of those have already been shared in videos that came before this one. The key and the purpose of this video is to make sure that each of us understands the emotional toll we are going through, which is going to help us to find solutions and overcome hardships in much sustainable and easier way. With this said, let's talk about first stage of business operations. It is the early stage euphoria filled with chaos, excitement, and infinite possibilities. We can also call this the honeymoon phase. In the beginning, starting a new endeavor feels like falling in love. Chaos feels constructive. We are wearing a dozen hats, working 100-hour weeks fueled by passion and late night pizza. And it's actually fun. There is heady optimism in the air. The situation can be described like this: one or more people set out to take on the world. The prevailing attitude in the office is heady optimism. We are building a great team, maybe we'll land a couple of initial clients, everything seems to be going well. In this stage, energy is sky high, and every new development, new idea, new prototype, new product update, or a new investor showing up is a validation that we are on the right path. Psychologically, this euphoria is powered by novelty and ambition. We are doing something new and challenging, which triggers dopamine and adrenaline. Business operators often report feeling on fire in early days, visible to no one, yet incredibly driven one. At this stage, we are excited, filled with energy and passion. No coffee is needed for late night work. We are on fire and we think we are invisible, and everything we do is going to work. However, this is not how the market or business works. This natural high can carry us through nights of little sleep and a lot of uncertainty. Importantly, this optimism isn't a bad thing at all. It's actually vital for getting a new venture off the ground. Studies on passion in business and new product delivery find that intrinsic motivation, genuinely loving the work or mission, protects us against burnout and stress in the initial stages alone. And we only have a little amount of that resource. We won't be able to keep this emotional high for too long. During this period, business operators are obsessed with their idea in a healthy way, often leveraging this excitement to push through early challenges that would seem tremendous in later phases. Yet, beneath the exuberance, this stage is often unorganized chaos. Everything is new, nothing is stable, and we are likely winging it as we go. A real business story illustrates this state perfectly. Isa Kushin, who built a 7-figure business in her 20s, recalled, "In the beginning it was scrappy, intense, and for a while wildly successful. We were growing fast, revenue was up. From the outside it looked like everything was working, but the inside it was a mess." And this paradox is common. Early success can paper over a lack of structure. We might be signing new customers or building a buzz, yet behind the scenes, we are holding for dear life, trying to deliver results without any solid system. Cushion that wins. We weren't managing a company, we were holding on for dear life. During this phase, business operators often ignore cracks forming in the foundation, which is dangerous. It is easy to dismiss the 2 a.m. panic attack or the unsustainable workload because everything feels possible. There is a psychological phenomenon at play called unrealistic optimism. We believe we will beat the odds, and odds there are. In reality, 20% of new businesses fail within year 1 and about 50% won't make it to year 5. Yes, the odds are literally 1 in 5 against us in the first year alone. But early stage business operators famously underplay these risks, and to some extent they have to. In the end of the day, who could undertake something so risky with a healthy head? So Euphoria is a double-edged sword. The very energy that drives this stage can also sow the seeds of second stage of struggles when the grind begins. The high of early success can lead us to overconfidence and overextension if we don't handle it the right way. We might take on too many projects, work absurd hours, and possibly ignore self care, all in service of the dream. Long hours feel exhilarating rather than draining. For now. Because psychologically we are running on adrenaline. But adrenaline is not a sustainable fuel. It is like running a machine on afterburners continually. And the initial intoxicating rush tricks many business operators into accelerating towards burnout and self destruction. Business operators of a new venture might say, I will sleep when I am dead, I'm grinding now so I can relax later. And this is a common stage 1 mindset. The problem is that later comes faster than we think, and the crash can be brutal if we don't start creating effective workloads and workflows for us and our team as soon as possible, and this is where most of our energy of stage 1 should really go. This means that the drive we have in this chaotic launch phase should be transferred into sustainable business operations as we scale, and not when we start losing our grip, clients, and everything we have built. And the key is understanding the fact that the dopamine that drives us forwards and helps us accelerate is not there to push through unrealistic obstacle. It's there to help us get the business and foundation set up with as much energy as possible, because what we have now, this energy is going to wait as we move on to the second level of the venture, which is the grind. And in a grind, neutrality, numbness, and reality kick will come in. And passion, improvisation, and personal heroics that we have are meant to help us to set up great foundation for the business when it reaches the grind stage. And very soon, sooner than we think, the grind will start. And whatever we set up in this stage will lay the foundations for further success or loss. So what is being said here is not what we shouldn't enjoy, is that we shouldn't enjoy the honeymoon phase. In fact, it is the best thing to enjoy, but we should brace ourselves and have realistic expectations and start creating permanent solutions for systems, for next steps, and for people around us. So when adrenaline fades, when the grind kicks in, and when the real test of our vision and resilience begins, we are ready. As fire consumes weak materials, but makes the metal only stronger. Now let's talk what happens after Euphoria fades. In early stages, business operations felt like a party on a ship leaving port, full of energy and promise, especially if we have been serving the right purpose and enjoying the process. But the mid-stage grind is when we hit open waters and storm rolls in. The excitement of launching a new product or offer fades, and now it is all about endurance. Many operators wake up one day with a disquieting realization that thrill is gone. What once felt like a passion project now feels like a job. This phase is something nicknamed the true sorrow or simply the grind. Just like in a honeymoon stage where everything seemed to go well, one day the bottom falls out. Every company, every business, every operator goes through this in some form. No one is able to escape it. It can happen months in or a couple of years down the line, but it is always coming. Sales plateau. Early excitement turns into interpersonal tension. The novelty wears off, and every day begins to feel like pushing a boulder uphill. This stage can feel numb or just neutral. The fires are still burning, but we are too tired to feel the heat. We might become less reactive to both good and bad news, a kind of emotional blunting. Psychological signals, chronic stress, or onset of burnout are within us. And burnout isn't just exhaustion. It often shows up first as cynicism or detachment. We feel disconnected from the mission that once energized us. As one business operator once said in a forum, we are doing reasonably well, but the motivation is gone, and we don't know why. We don't even want to go to the bottom of it. That we don't know why is telling is the problem. If we don't want to go to the bottom of it, that's where the core problem is. From the outside, everything might look fine, yet internally we are in a state of malice. So what causes this? Let's go to some points. First, monotony of operations. The novelty that made the early days exciting fades, and businesses mature, the thrill of solving new problems disappears. Our days become filled with repetitive tasks and putting out fires. Manuel Saez, a two-time founder and coach, notes that the absence of novelty drains enthusiasm over time. What once felt like an adventure starts to feel like a chore, and the contrast between past excitement and current routine becomes disheartening. Second reason might be relentless pressure to grow. By mid-stage, the grace period is over. We might have a larger team, have overhired or created aggressive plans for scaling, and the pressure to keep growing, to keep feeding these people's families, to hit the next revenue target, secure funding, expand into new markets is immense. And now we are not just responsible for our dreams, but for the entire ecosystem that depends on us. This pressure breeds chronic stress. Another reason is the emotional toll of setbacks. As reality hits hard in this stage, growth is not a straight line anymore. Major customers churn, product launches flop, key hires leave. The emotional whiplash of constant problems wear us down. Mid-stage sees more lows than highs. And without emotional resilience, fatigue and despair creep in, leading us to ask, can we keep doing this? Another reason might be lack of work-life balance, as we have been likely running full tilt for years. Personal life, as family, health, hobbies, have taken a backseat. Roughly 29% of business operators report poor work-life balance. Founders, especially men, often neglect self-care. Male business operators report higher burnout rates than women, 36% against 31, and that carelessness towards our own self directly hits us, and the imbalance shakes the foundations of our life. And all those "I will take a break next year" promises eventually catch up, and the result? We are exhausted, both mentally and physically. And one might ask, what's the solution? Solution begins with delegation and building core processes. Growth Architect encourages this as part of its operational philosophy. We will find a link in description where I go over core circle process, which is about delegation and balancing work-life balance. The video I'm talking about goes deep to help us understand why this happens to us, and goes over deeper solutions to help us and our businesses grow. And the reason it's in a different video is because there are no surface level solutions to these problems. Operating a business, leading people is a science, and it's something that has time to study. We can't wing it forever, and this is what goes to the bottom of this mid-stage grant. And if we don't intervene, the negative result is going to be inevitable. We will break down, as 42% of business operators report having felt burned out in just past month. 24% are currently experiencing it. This is the stage where people quit, or are being replaced, or they are silently checked out. That is why it's called "Where Startups Go Today." Most businesses fail to grow not because of lack of potential, but because they stall in this very stage. The gap between 1 million and 10 million is filled with companies that never make it. Many quit too soon, right before the real growth kicks in. And here's the twist. This is the stage where our role changes dramatically. In the early days, we were creators wearing every hat, but now we must become operators, managers. We must build teams that can do what we used to do better than us. And not everyone enjoys this shift. In fact, chaos may have become our second nature. Letting go of it feels wrong, but now the very skills we used to build the business, improvisation, tolerance for chaos, individual effort, are now liabilities. What we need now is discipline, delegation, and strategic focus. Surprisingly, a 2023 study shows solopreneurs had the lowest burnout risk. Burnout risk actually increased as they hired more people. Why? Because once we have a team, the emotional stakes skyrocket. So it's not growth that breaks us, it's the shift in a role that does. If we don't evolve, we break. Growth demands internal transformation. New stressors and responsibilities show up. And now we are responsible for others' livelihood, not just our own. And with the excitement gone, only one thing keeps us going: conviction. As those driven by get-rich-quick fantasies usually give up in this stage, and those who are mission-driven, who are solving real problems and feel connected to their cause, they hold on. Intrinsic motivation acts as a buffer, whereas extrinsic motivation leads to burnout. This is why our North Star vision matters. It becomes our lighthouse in the storm in this stage. When we are lost, we must return to our original vision, reconnect to it, remember why we actually started, and then begin creating operational systems and frameworks that allow us to scale without chaos. But first, we must reconnect with the why. Once we do that, we hang tough, we adapt, we survive, and yes, if we are not facing serious challenges a few months into running a business, we are most probably not growing fast enough. Just like muscle growth, pain is the signal of progress. Great operators are like prize fighters. They don't win by avoiding punches, they win by staying standing. Real resilience is the ethos. But make no mistake, adoption is the real secret. The companies that survive are not the strongest, but the ones that operationalize and adapt at any cost. That might mean changing the business model, cutting costs, bringing in new executives, asking for help where once tried to go it alone. We might be great at product or sales but terrible at finance. That's okay. What matters is knowing when to bring in the right people and focus on our lane. Humility plus operational clarity equals to breakthrough in everything we begin, as we admit that we need help. And as we admit that and we bring in right people and we ask for help, chaos slowly begins to clear. And one more thing, don't underestimate communities. Whether it's a coach, mastermind, or a peer group, emotional support matters. 27% of business operators report feeling isolated. And just hearing that what we are feeling is normal can be a relief. We are not the only ones who have fallen out of love with our businesses. Every great operator has walked through this valley of death. Those who make it out come out stronger with a mature motivation tempered by reality. As we now prepare to move into stage 3, let's recap. Mid-grind stage feels like walking through a fire. But if we make it, we enter a new phase where our business meets systems, scalability, and renewal. And let's now explore the next stage. From surviving to driving, where strategy compounds and a new world awaits. Welcome to the other side of the wall, where we are entering the third stage of system, scalability, and renewal. If the grind stage is the painful teenage phase of a business, the third stage is the momentum, which brings its own challenges, but is marked by maturity, rhythm, and forward momentum. This is where the journey shifts from pushing a boulder uphill to riding a flywheel that's finally gaining momentum. It's often said, what got us here won't get us there. And by the time we reach this stage, most operators have made key transitions. From hog hustle to repeatable systems. From doing everything alone to building a capable team. From scrabbling for short-term wins to thinking in long-term strategy. The defining trait of stage 3 is sustainable growth, where early growth feels chaotic and often comes at the cost of our health and sanity. Late stage growth feels measured and system driven. Think of a well-run company like a machine. We have installed the right people, processes, and culture, so the business can now operate at least to some degree without us consistently pulling every lever. A mindset shift happens here. In the grind stage, we learn that we can't do everything. In this stage, we embrace the fact that we shouldn't. We realize that one of the most valuable lessons is that our company can't run without us, then it's not a business. It is just a job with overhead. The earlier we build systems, document processes, and empower people, the more valuable and resilient our company becomes. This stage of renewal is where the business operator evolves into a true leader, a growth architect, no longer the hands on superhero, but someone who works on the business rather than in it. And if the grind, we were firefighting all the time, now we have established a rhythm, a rhythm of intelligent thinking. Maybe it is a weekly leadership meeting. Maybe it's a quarterly strategic reviews. Maybe it's a documented SOPs for critical tasks. The chaos gives way to steady progress. That doesn't mean things are easy. It's far from it. The business is likely larger and facing bigger competitive challenges. But we now have structures to absorb and respond to these challenges. A business operator put it well. At this stage, we start holding a steady course. We can take hits which would have crushed us earlier. A customer cancellation or employee's departure no longer jeopardizes the whole company, as the machine keeps running. And this is when we begin to feel the magic of compounding. The smart hiring we did, the product refinement, the streamlined system start stacking. Effort yields more than proportional results. A strong team means initiatives no longer bottleneck on us. Good documentation means we are not reinventing the wheel every week. Things get done faster, better, and with more consistency. If the grind stage felt like one step backward, two steps back, one step forward and two steps back, stage 3 often feels like two steps forward and one step back. Still challenging, but undeniably a movement forward. We may notice revenue compounding year over year. Product market fit is going to nail. Sales systems are scalable. Customer retention improves. Support and onboarding are dialed in. All of these stacks. A classic sign of stage 3 is compounding with small advantages becoming modes. Here are a few of them. An established brand A classic sign of stage 3 compounding is small advantages becoming modes, which are an established brand which makes it harder for competitors to catch up, a strong team which attracts even better talents, and those talents create more growth, and that growth brings more resources, which in turn, reinvested wisely, support innovation, and as a flywheel effect, bring more growth. In total, it looks like this. Success brings resources, resources bring smarter execution brings more success. If managed well, this is the phase where a scrappy business becomes a true market player. But personally, for the operator, this is the stage where it's more emotionally complex. On one hand, there is pride and relief. We have proven the concept. We have built something that lasts. We might even finally afford to take a real vacation. Many business operators describe that feeling as tired but happy. A quiet confidence that replaces adrenaline. And at this point, we know that business is on solid footing. On the other hand, identity questions might emerge. Like, what is my job now? A product-focused founder might feel lost when their work shifts from building things to managing managers, talking to investors, or setting strategic direction. This is one reason why many business operators, founders don't stay as CEOs or executives forever. Some of them hand over leadership to outside CEOs or internal talent, especially if their true passion is innovation, not operations. But for those who choose to remain at the helm, this stage offers something rare: an opportunity to rediscover purpose in a new light. We are no longer fooled by naive excitement. We have seen too much for blind optimism. But we might find deeper motivation in shaping company culture, in creating a workplace where others grow and thrive, in launching bold new missions, global markets, acquisitions, or even philanthropy, in other words. This is where we start thinking in terms of legacy. The business now has a life of its own, and that was the ultimate goal. And our role becomes that one of a gardener or an architect, ensuring it grows, strengthens, and flourishes sustainably. A great real world example of this stage is Kushin, Isa Kushin. After saving her company by implementing systems and financial discipline, she came away with these hard won insights, which are: don't confuse business with success. Small businesses should run on rhythm, not adrenaline. Build for transferability. The earlier you empower people, the more valuable your business becomes. And those who try to figure it out all alone, they burn out, or worse, they blow up something great. We need to embrace the fact that advisors aren't a sign of weakness. This is a wisdom earned in the trenches. By third stage of renewal, the best operators learn to focus on a sane, sustainable pace with replicable systems, strong teams, mentorship and community, and profits of a vanity metrics. And it is a far cry from a cowboy mentality most of us have been having at the first stage of euphoria when business was just growing. Interestingly, many operators experience a renewed energy here. Not the manic energy of early hustle, but a steady flame. Once our business runs with rhythm, it frees up mental bandwidth. We go from 12 hours of firefighting to 4 hours of solving problems and 8 hours of forward focus creation. Some even get bored. This is why serial entrepreneurs exist. They sell, step away, or start over just to chase that stage one feeling again. But many others find joy in building an enduring, mature company. As one article on Business Operator Psychology puts it, hopeful realism replaces naive optimism. We are still hopeful, but it is informed by a hard-won clarity. And now let's zoom out. These three stages of euphoria, grind, and momentum or renewal aren't strict checkpoints. They are emotional and operational arcs that companies cycle through. A business might feel a burst of stage 1 energy when launching a new product, then deep into stage 2 when scaling it, then settle into stage 3 as systems solidify, and the same cycle returns with every new product or strategic shift. And stage 3 doesn't mean the journey is over. There are new frontiers, IPOs, acquisitions, global expansion, new markets, each with their own roller coasters. But the emotional pattern, initial excitement, disillusionment, equilibrium, is near universal. Understanding where we are on that journey helps us normalize the struggle and equip ourselves for what is next. And if we are in stage first, we enjoy the ride but start building good habits now, and avoiding the burnout which starts in euphoria. And if we are in stage 2, we hold the line, we seek support, reconnect to our vision, adapt, and remember that every lasting business goes through this valley of death. And if we are in the third stage, we build the machine, we focus on system, teams, culture, and give ourselves permission to evolve. as the leaders our businesses need next might be different from people we were when we just started. The journey outlined here is intense, but it's also what makes building and operating a business deeply meaningful. It is the very echo of the growth architect ethos. Because building a business is not just an external pursuit, it's an inner growth process. At each stage, the challenges force us to evolve. At stage 1, our creativity and courage are being tested. At second stage, it's an ultimate we get an ultimate test of our resilience and commitment. And at the third stage, our strategic thinking and leadership gets evolved. And if we navigate this well, we won't just build a great company, we will build a stronger, more refined version of ourselves. And let's not sugarcoat it, not everybody will make it through all the stages. And that's okay. Success in business isn't only defined by becoming a unicorn or reaching a nine-figure valuation. It can be defined by building something real, by learning, by creating jobs for a dozen people, by serving a loyal base of customers, or by simply building a business that supports the life we want to live. Success isn't measured in numbers on a bank account, but in how closely we align with our original vision and core purpose. Growth for growth's sake is not the goal. Purposeful growth is. So if we are a business operator or an aspiring founder watching this, take it both as a warning and a beacon of hope. Expect that chaos and euphoria of the beginning will come up. Enjoy it. Leverage it. But don't let it delude you. Anticipate the valley of stage 2 when it arrives. Recognize that it's a normal part of the process and not a sign that you are failing. Use the tools we have discussed, lean on your vision, seek support, protect your mental health, adapt your business where needed, and strive for the third stage, where your role evolves from frantic doer to thoughtful architect of a lasting enterprise. In the spirit of growth architect, blend emotional intelligence with business intelligence at every step. Let's be kind to ourselves, not just as business operators, but as human beings. And let's be rigorous about building the systems that let our businesses run like well-oiled machines. Because when motivation fades, those systems will carry us. And when the path becomes unclear, our self-awareness will guide us. As Isaac Cushing wisely said, it wasn't more hustle that she needed, it was better questions. In that same spirit, we must keep asking ourselves, am I taking care of my energy? Do we have a process for this or are we winging it? Who can I ask for help or guidance? What is our long-term vision and are we still staying true to it? These questions turn painful moments into growth opportunities. The business operator's road is not easy, but for those who endure, it's profoundly rewarding, not just in business success, but in personal evaluation, impact, and the legacy we create. By recognizing the stage we are in and leaning into the appropriate strategy, whether it's riding early momentum, persevering through adversity, or scaling with systems, we can move through the journey with a bit more grace and a lot more confidence. Let's also remember, we are not alone on this roller coaster. And as the saying goes, the night is darkest before the dawn. So, keep building, keep growing, strengthen your business and yourself. Because each stage, however challenging it is a stepping stone to the next level of evolution. Be in peace.